What's up? Welcome to the Sword Art Online show. My name is Carrie Lane, and I'm joined by an awesome guest who's no stranger to this show. We got, there we go. Yay, Xander Mobus, who plays Vassago. Welcome.
Hi, what's up?
Yay, and we are live. So if you're watching this live, join us and ask questions in the chat, and we'll get to those and we'll dive on in. Let's get this set. Oh, well, first, real quick, we'll do these. So you can go follow Xander at there, down there. It's a mirror, y'all. So it's like, wait, which way is this? Yay. And then Carrie. Awesome. Yay. All right. Now let's get into the thing that y'all are here for.
Let's do the thing.
Comments up. All right. So one, yay, we're back because I know Toonami did a little bit of different scheduling for holidays and such. So super excited to be back. Xander, how does it feel when how does it feel as an actor where your show is on and then maybe it's off for a bit and then back again? You know, does it affect your daily life or is your phone blowing up with messages? What's it like?
Affect daily life, not really. I think it's weird for me just because, well, first of all, I've said before, I don't really know anything about the show. This was kind of, being a part of it is kind of my only, connection. But it was weird for me because of this. I watched them live. And it's so weird watching, in the booth, we do a batch of episodes. So we'll do episode 1 through 3. And you just kind of blaze through it. And your only real cognition of the difference between the episodes and how the episodes are actually paced is the engineer going, hang on, I'm going to switch files. We'll lose you for a second. Okay. And we're back and let's just keep rolling. So it's weird for me because I finally get to experience how the story was supposed to be paced. Because in my mind, I was like, man, I just got my hand caught on a cord. In my mind, it was like, man, that was a lot of yelling for 4 hours. Yeah. I wonder how that's going to turn out. It's there's 2 seconds of it in this episode.
Oh, so that's a great point. Do you ever have it where it's segments of yelling, even though those will be spaced across multiple episodes? So then that way you're only yelling for a chunk of time.
Yeah. So it kind of depends. Usually we record pretty in order, though there are exceptions. A few weeks ago, we did there was an episode where it was young Vassago and then a flashback to that. And we'll do that separately. So we'll run through just so I don't get schizophrenia bouncing back and forth between yeah, he's an old man. Hi there, guys. I'm young Vassago. I think that's what he sounded like. I think that was the voice we went with. So usually we do it pretty in order, but there are times, especially when, it's the end of the week, I've been yelling a lot already throughout the week, and I'm like, hey guys, is it cool if we just, if we save all that till the end so I'm not fried at the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it depends on the day.
Do you have a favorite remedy for when you have to do screaming? Do you like hot tea? Do you know, what remedy is your favorite?
Cigars, inhaling sandpaper, anything like that. That'll really soothe it all up. I don't know. Hydrate a lot while you're doing it, because that's going to help. Then afterwards, best remedy is just don't talk for a bit. Honestly.
You're sorry, everybody.
Yeah. It's the best way to let your voice recover is just let it recover. Don't. My roommate, though, he it's insane to me. He will on Sundays, he will be screaming at the TV because he's a huge sports fan and he's from Chicago. So a potent combination. And then he'll go into work the next day and be like, yeah, I was screaming for another 4 hours. I'm fine. Everything's great. And I'm like, how?
Different kind of screaming?
No, he goes for it. He's
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of diaphragm in that. It's a lot of ah!
Nice. I like it. Yeah, because it's enthusiastic fan.
Yes. It's enthusiastic. It's a spur of the moment. It's not I must prop myself up and breathe into the yelling.
Ooh, I'm looking through the chat right now. I like this one. We've got Anime Game Lover says, I kind of wish Xenon fought Vassago. That would be rather interesting.
She fought my boss, man. That'd be a step down.
True. This is true. And let's see, we got... Thank you, everybody, for your comments in the chat. We're going to scroll through that. And kind of what you mentioned, yes, Sinon had her hands full already. Yes, she did. Very busy. And shout out to voice actor joining us last week for Sinon, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, nice. I like this one. I knew it. Asuna drank Red Bull beforehand. She did get an energy boost, which we will get into that too. Yeah, there we go. Asuna was the MVP of this episode. Yeah, she did a good job. We'll get into that too. I like this. Before we dive into more specifically in the episode, we have this question for you. Dan asks, how does it feel to be voicing such a violent and wild character?
It's a lot of fun. I think that the challenge as an actor is always like finding that balance between, like, everyone says, like, the fun thing about villains is you get to go in and be a horrible human being, which, if you've just had a particularly bad week, that can be very cathartic. But you always want to find that balance of the humanity there and the mixed with but you don't want to sand off the fun edges. And one thing about Vassago, I think I've said this before on here, is that he's just this Mountain Dew fueled, like Call of Duty bro. Yeah. And that's fun to play. Like it lets you get away with, like there were times in the episode where he had to say, I'm going to kill your boy. And it was just like, I'm going to kill your boy. Like, just embrace the goofiness of that. And that's always fun.
Nice. Forgive my brain pause there. But yes, special shout out. We had Michelle Ruff last time for Sinon. And then you were here as well. And we also had Ryan Bartley. Yay.
Yes, indeed.
Where did it go? Here we go. We got another question for you from Anime Game Lover. It says, what is your favorite wild Vassago moment?
Oh my God. What was my favorite? Oh boy. I don't know, man.
First one that comes to mind.
Well, God, I can't remember any of the lines that I was like, ooh, yeah, I was proud of that one. But there were, from the recording side, it's not really like a story thing, but from the recording side, when you're recording ADR, usually you can take it like line by line, or you can try and take a run of lines. And the nice thing with him was he had a bunch of these just very meaty dialogue, like almost like monologues, just like
he does talk a lot.
He does talk a lot, which is great for me. And yeah, so just getting to like play those together as a scene, and like, the scripts were very nice to work with, because when we recorded these episodes, I was at home. Well, we were recording from home, and lip sync, just a dream of the past. We're flying blind a lot of the time. So it was fun to like just really tackle those as monologues and just go for it as a scene. And then when it actually lines up on their end, you're like, yes, I'm the best at this job in the whole wide world. So yeah, that was a lot of fun for me.
Oh, for sure. I could imagine, like, in terms of, you're not just the mouth flap matching, but essentially editing. And when it just lines up perfectly, it's like, that's just, oh, there we go. I did it. Yes. Actually, speaking of being on fire, we had, yes, great comment. Vassago and Asuna fight was fire. Was. Yes, that fight was awesome. All right, so let's get into that. So, yes, we have Vassago using mind control. So, man, you upped your powers. Before you had kind of basic control, but now it's like super powered, like charge of everybody. Do you ever have any sense of like, or how do you get that? I don't know if you want to call it pride or, he just thinks he's the man because he is so powerful in it. Like, how do you get in that headspace? Is there physical action you take, or, how do you get into you're the best thing in the entire world?
Well, it helps that I actually am. So,
I was going to say, It doesn't take a lot for you, right? Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a headspace I'm used to living in. No, I think with him, there's a real insecurity. Is which ties into why he says later in the episode, I'm sure we'll get to it, his relationship with Kirito. I think a lot of that's based in insecurity, and the easiest way to cover that is to sort of mask it with that overboard bravado. And I think that's the element I latched on to. Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like it when you play a character who's very full of themselves, if you play it full of themselves, you end up doing kind of a poor imitation of that douchebag you knew that one time. You know what I mean? You end up going into almost Zap Brannigan territory.
Well, it makes sense. I like that you mentioned insecurities because his attitude really could be linked back to those insecurities. And so essentially he's overcompensating for all of that.
Yeah.
So I like it. We're getting to the psychology of our anime characters here, y'all. Come on. We mentioned recording a little bit. Here's a good question. Dan asked, do you work off the Japanese version when you record, or do you just listen to your co-stars' recordings?
We do both if we are lucky enough to be later on in the recording process. We do listen to the Japanese to get a sense of the timing and to kind of understand what's going on in the scene. I don't know if you've ever watched an animation with the audio turned off completely, but it's kind of hard to tell. The audio is doing some of the heavy lifting there, so it helps to get yourself into the scene. And specifically, since the animation's already done, since we're not getting to build that world, we have to play in that world. So we listen to it for that. And then we when we do the recording, usually the music and the sound effects are still in our ear. And if other people around us have already recorded, then we get to hear them, which I like personally. And I think everybody likes it because it makes your job so much easier when you're not the first person in, because then you're trying to imagine what everybody else in the scene will do what you're doing, as opposed to just reacting off of it, which is a lot easier.
Yeah, I would think it's interesting how much the music and sound effects can affect the scene, because this show has really a heavy score in a good way. It's very dramatic and really adds to the gravitas of the scene. So it would be really weird if you're like, let's turn that off. And then, guys, it just isn't there. I'm like,
Yeah, it'd be very strange if you got these electric guitars wailing in the background and you're like, so anyway, I don't like you very much, and now I'm going to destroy you.
Exactly, yes. There we go. Thank you very much. Great question. So then we have, this fight is not going, it's looking very bleak. We also got May and Moonface trying to fight it, and they're about the only ones who really see. Oh, we do hear a couple other characters who aren't defined say don't listen to it and everything. And then we get a cameo callback that was super exciting. And I know when I first saw it, I was like, oh, we have Yuki, which was so cute. And I mean, maybe cute's not the right word, but super make your heart swell, and you're just so happy that they're back in a way, and kind of giving Asuna that extra encouragement. I know you said you weren't as in-depth involved in the show, but how is that kind of moment for you? And then, Vassago, I don't think Vassago really gets to see Yuki. I feel that's more just for Asuna, but how is that scene for you as the actor? And if Vassago isn't seeing anything, is he just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's just sitting there.
Yo, come on, hurry up.
We're on the clock here. Come on.
Yeah.
It's killing time. Which is very good because he's terrified of ghosts. It never comes up in the show, but now you know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who that character is. So for me, I'm assuming they were friends. Otherwise, it's just a random ghost who's like, hey there, what's up? Ghost time. But yeah, I think from Vassago's perspective, I think he is absolutely delighted when she kind of digivolves into the wings and the whole.
That was so cool. I was like, ah! Like,
yeah, I think he's happy about it because I think he really wants to make these people lesser. He's very into dragging them down to his level, but I think he wants them at their best when he does that.
Well, also, I would say too, from watching him, you know, he wants a good fight. If it's just like one and done and you're like, well, that was over, you know, it's like wants them to come back. I like this. Good point. We got Champ Production says, Yuki come down from the heavens to give her strength so Asuna for her blessing. Yes, I love that. It was such a great moment of like, so surprised. And it was kind of out of nowhere that I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, interesting. We'll get to that one in just a moment there. But that was so cool. And Asuna attacks Vassago, and it was just such a great like fight. And I like it's finally the why, which I love that moment because I hate watching something and nobody asks, why are you doing this? And given that whatever it is, whoever it is, they might not respond. But I think instinctively I'd be like, why? Why is this happening? Or, you know, try to get them to say it. And Vassago is more than happy to answer that question. He's like, well, actually,
I wrote up this whole novel. Here, let's read it together.
He's like, oh, I'm so glad you asked. You know, here are my reasons.
Yeah. It's very
but yeah. Well, tell me about that. So we get into it, and she's like, why? You just want to kill Kirito? And he's like, no. So it's about respect, and he wants him back for the fight. So how was that moment for you, recording it, and just how do you like that for your character plot-wise of this reason that's part of his obsession?
Yeah, I think it certainly makes it more interesting than if he was just like, I want the high score. You know, yeah, I think it gives it a level of grounding because there are those people in real life who are like, who maybe, and I think it's all rooted in a very human place of he has been sort of abused his entire life by, you know, as we saw, his mom, his dad. He's never been given that validation. And the validation he found for himself is in his startling racism and his sort of hatred of other people. And he's like, well, I can't have my own happiness, so I'm going to destroy everybody else's. And that's a thing. Like when people are hurt that bad, they lash out. And I think giving him that level of admiration for Kirito, giving him that sense of like, holy shit, this is the guy. If I can wreck his shit, that's the things that'll do for my self-esteem. Yeah, I think it grounds it. I think it gives it. Maybe that's not relatable to everybody. Maybe not everyone's like, oh man, I'm gonna destroy Rachel to make me happy. But I think it has that kernel of believability because I think we all have felt that way. Maybe not to that extreme, but you know, just that maybe.
I don't know. Speak for yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm glad you kind of brought that up of like how relatable is it, but I think this is a great comparison. Mike says Vassago is the Joker to Kirito's Batman due to his obsession, which that's a good point of like, it's just two characters that kind of constantly are butting heads. And it's, if you really just hated them, you would just ignore them and leave them alone. Be like, bye. I don't want to even give you energy, but no, it's an obsession.
I want to be around this person. Yes. I hate them so much.
And then, so Xander, would you want to voice the Joker?
Yeah, who wouldn't? Come on, man. I come here for tough questions, not these softballs.
You're like, yes, that'd be really. So we get into that, which was great on that fighting, and then so the Asuna and Vassago fight was super exciting. What is it like for you to finally get to see it? Because you're doing the voice of just the yelling or fight sounds. How is it well, one, how is it described in terms of, is it just fight sounds? And then one, what is it like? And then two, what is it like to see it once it's all done?
I mean, Alex is very precise with his with what he wants for fight sounds. So, and one thing I like about it is he's usually very focused on intention with fight sounds. He'll be like, "Hey, I think this is what you're feeling and thinking here. So how does that manifest vocally?" He says it less fancy than I do, though. He's more like, just do the thing. No. But yeah, I'll say this, man. You do not appreciate fight choreography on our end of the booth a lot of the time. Because, they line it up. You have 3 beeps, and then you go and you do the sound, and then that's all you see. And then you move on to the next thing. So, from my perspective, I was like, oh, there's a whole fight going on. It's not just... he's jumping here, and then there's a zoom in on his face, I guess. Yeah, so it was really nice. The animation looks gorgeous too, so that was a real treat to watch.
Yeah, the fight scenes, how they're choreographed, how they're filmed, everything about it is gorgeous on this show, and it's just it's so fast, but you still can process what's going on. It's just really exciting, and it's intense, and that's also when we get to the moment where Chopper is able to absorb the life energy swirling around us, which is one of those like, shit. They're trying to fight, and it's like, I guess since he had been in there longer, it's just like, oh, by the way, Asuna, guess what? You don't quite know the rules of the world here, and I'm getting supercharged right now.
Yeah, that was fun. I like his weapon. There's something about like a giant meat cleaver that I'm just like, that's ridiculous, and I love it.
It is. It feels really kind of almost out of place in this world. I mean, I guess maybe for one of the more obscure other groups or something, maybe, but for like a human to have just a meat cleaver feels like, okay, maybe he's the chef in his downtime,
It is like he
or a butcher.
Yeah. You know what? And that's the thing. I kind of enjoy, obviously the butcher thing, but I also just enjoy how unwieldy it looks. And it doesn't like look particularly sharp. Like it's just a slab of metal.
It'll just give you tetanus.
Yeah. So it's like, is he like actually cutting people, or is he just smashing through bone? I don't know. It gives a real weight to it that when you're in the booth is nice, because then you can like imagine the physicality and act that out.
Yeah. Because everybody also like with swords or bow and arrows, like that makes sense. An axe, but the meat cleaver is like, okay.
Bow and arrows, by the way, that's the worst to make sounds for me.
How so?
Well, because they want it a lot of the time. Like if there's an epic shot where you're like shooting a bow and arrow, they want it to like have impact. So they want like a sound to go with it. But if you've shot a bow and arrow, you're not actually going like, like that. And I mean, admittedly, when you're like fighting with a sword or something, I imagine you're probably not going like all the time, but you can still imagine that like the weight adds that sense of to it. So even if you're not going full like with it, it still has that. But bows and arrows, it's like,
maybe it's like one of the medieval bows that's like, it's really big, so you really have to pull to get it.
So then the release is just you going like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's no compound bow where you're just like one-handed even almost. You're just like, done. Well, it's like the idea of like, so voiceovers, when you're in the booth, you're always just touching your headphones like this, right? Because that's the image. Yeah. So
I think that comes from people who used to monitor themselves by bending one ear like this. so you can like catch more of your own voice. I think that's where this comes from. But yeah, I've never done that. That feels very counterintuitive to me because you want to be moving. You want to be like, yeah, because
compared
like
to
if you're running, you can just go, which sounds weird, or you can actually physically get involved in it, which is actually going to make the breathing sound a little less like a dog panting and more like you're actually running.
Unless you're supposed to be a dog, but yeah.
Unless you're supposed to be a dog, in which case, good. No notes. Keep doing what you're doing.
You're like, that's fine. And then, as we mentioned, Asuna gets the wings. Also, great cheering her on from all her friends on the sideline, which is great because it's always nice to have those. They're small moments, but it's nice to have all the OG characters like, you can do it, and you're just like, yay, it's them. And essentially, that kind of helps her and gets another Yuki energy. I can talk really burst, and that was such a cool moment, like of them going like side by side, like, yes, we got this, okay, cool. And I just wish it did more because it did such an epic shot. And you know, we get to see a literal hole in your character, in Vassago's chest, his chest cavity. It's like there, and no, it's not over yet, and you're just like, well, fudge bucket, you know, and you're like, so how was that to finally see? What was it like to see that visual for you, to see what happens to him, that he's doing this epic fight and there's a literal big giant hole through his body?
Yeah, my first thought when I saw the hole is like, oh, okay, that was fun. I'll get my paycheck and we'll just we'll get out of here. And then the meat cleaver like hauls him up, and I was like, is the meat cleaver just going to be like puppeting his corpse? So yeah, I was a little concerned. I was like, okay, buddy, you should probably get that checked out, you know?
Yeah.
Generally it's not a good sign. But yeah,
just get a Band-Aid. It's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It'd be a pretty big Band-Aid to cover that whole thing. Might want some duct tape.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just do the duct tape all the way around or something, so then you get both sides in like one wrap.
Yeah, problem solved.
Sure. Yeah.
Organs didn't seem to be falling out, so like you're good.
Yeah, it's fine. They were just pushed to the sides. Yeah.
Right. They're very adaptable, human organs.
Yes.
And not that necessary, I'm sure.
Apparently, yes. I like this. Alan says, it's like the Super Bowl sidelines to cheer on Asuna in the fourth quarter. I like it. Yay. Because, they're just helping him out. It's like, how can you help on the side? But, yeah.
And should have someone come in, like, bringing them hot dogs and beers, and they're just like, go get them!
Go, guys! You can do it! Yeah. So, and then we got right here, too. Ghazi points out that, Vassago's still standing after that, and it was just a very powerful moment. I agree. It was a really creepy and disturbing visual, too. And, like, as you were saying, Xander, like, lifted up by the cleaver. It's just like, ooh.
Yeah.
But I do like where I do like where your thought process was going. Is like, is the cleaver just going to animate the corpse? I say, oh, that's a good point. But nope, not over yet, because the weapon can still absorb power, and then the Red Knights go into battle and fight. So now we kind of will shift a little bit because we have a certain character that has come back. Senpai is back, Kirito. First, we see him in the beginning. He's kind of in this weird dream world, and he's crossing paths with people that are important in his life, but he's just not really seeing them. It's just kind of in a daze, which is kind of a really interesting question, that if you were, what happens when you're essentially in a coma, unconscious, what is going on in the mind? So it's kind of cool to see it as a visual representation.
Yeah.
Because I guess, he's in a coma, essentially.
I realized through that sequence, I have no idea how old Kirito is supposed to be, because he's like in high school and I was like, oh, I thought he was like 20 something. I don't know.
We've had this discussion on the show of like, I know people have said and point out how old he actually is. That does not mean how old I feel he is. And I'm like, wait a minute, by now, how old he is. So I think he's actually only about 17, maybe 18 at this point.
He's done a lot for an 18-year-old. That's a busy life.
But I would say the time stuck in the different worlds has aged him essentially exponentially more than he would have been otherwise. Because I felt like him and Asuna too. I'm like, yeah, so they're like in their mid-20s by now, right? Like their college, like their maturity level just seems older. Like they're not, oh, I just, I'm going to high school, no big deal. So it feels really like, wait, how old are they? What? Yeah.
I just want a scene of like Kirito's mom being like, nope, it's 2 hours of screen time a day, young man.
Right? Like, no. Yes, we have people pointing in the chat that, nope, 17 years old. So
17.
he is a baby. But, and then, oh, I like this if this is accurate. And then he goes for his older woman. Just kidding. It's only a year difference. And Austin at
She's
18.
a cradle robber, man.
Is what?
Okay. I said she's a cradle robber, man. It's not okay.
Right? Oh, no, she's over 18. No, I'm just... but I feel like, yeah, it feels like he's so much older with what he's gone through. But it is, just different people, different life experiences age him in different ways. So absolutely makes sense. Also, it's the standard kind of trope of anime that you're like, how old are they supposed? Like Sailor Moon, they're in middle school. And you're like, wait, they're not high school, college? What?
It's always so weird to me because when I'm like reading on stuff, it'll be like a picture of somebody and it's like, oh yeah, that's a high schooler. And it'll be like, actually they're 25.
Yeah.
So, and then, but like the minute you hit 30, that's when you become an old man.
Don't you know that's how it works? No.
Yeah. It's always like their high school age. And then everybody above that is in their 40s. So anyone above the age of 18 is in their 40s, or it's everybody looks like they're in high school, but are actually adults.
Yeah, because there's not a lot. I mean, yes, there are some anime where characters are a bit more like college age, but I feel it's like middle school, high school, or way adult. There's not really that in between life stuff. There is some, not saying there's none, but there's definitely, it's more focused on either the much younger or much older. But sure, it's a thing. And then we got Mike pointing out that Alice is older, so she's more like 1920, but also she's built in a different world, literally and figuratively, and so she's a whole other maturity level too. So then we get the thing with Kirito, which this was so you, Xander, even though you haven't been on this journey with him of what he's been through, it was for me, and then let me know how you feel, like seeing him literally ripping out his own chest after watching these very painful memories come back to him was really like, like we just need to give you a hug, Kirito. Like, it's all right. Chill, dude. It's, not
right.
Stop
there are
having
more efficient ways to do this, Kirito. Come on. Just hold your breath for a really long time or something, buddy. No, that's horrible.
Yeah.
It was very effective imagery.
Because it's so brutal. Like, I'm so upset. I'm literally ripping my own chest open. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah. I feel like it would have taken longer. Like, I don't know how durable
He's
human
that strong.
are. Yeah, maybe that's. I'm just like,
sure. Well, I think it's it's not a real space for him. So it's
so his brain's making the rule. It's like the Matrix.
Exactly.
He's like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, I getcha.
And he just is like thinking, I have failed everyone. And as well as you get it, but you just don't like seeing your hero be so down on themselves. And luckily he doesn't stay there because we get our moment where it's his sister. We have Asuna, Sinon, and it's not enough. But then we get Yu-Gi-Oh come back again, which is another one of those characters that essentially has died, but they're able to come back, which is really cool. So this show deals with ghosts, which is unexpected in a little bit of a way, but I like it.
Up for a Ghostbusters crossover.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
And there's more ghosties ahead.
Yeah.
All of you. No spoilers, but this is not the end of Ghosts, which I do like.
I don't want to spoil anything, but Bill Murray might be showing up for a cameo. I mean,
just saying. Yep. And love that Yu-Gi-Oh's memory is part of it as well, because it makes a great point that it's not our hearts are what connect. Oh, Asuna says our hearts are what connect us, and how Yu-Gi-Oh points out it's like, no, I'm not real. I'm your memory. I am a memory that you possess, and it's a nice almost soothing way of anybody who's lost anybody. It's like our own memories of people can keep them with us, even though it's not them, but at least they're not gone completely. So it's just like, oh, Kirito.
Very sweet.
Yes. So we get that moment, and he is back, and it was such a fun like start to how that went, because it was a little mysterious at first, because they're, I smell roses. It's like, oh, woo! And they both say the enhanced armament, and they are able to protect Asuna with a force field, which was super cool. So sorry, Vassago. Force field action in place.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I didn't count on force fields.
Right? Yeah.
I had everything else planned out. I just forgot to check the force field box.
It was the wild card. You're just like, oh, I knew there'd be something different. Yes.
Oh yeah.
We got Mike pointing out that says, yeah, Kirito feels responsible and guilty for so many deaths, which is just sad, because it's like, no, stop it, chill out. Then Champ says, see, Yu-Gi-Oh is a ghost, so yes, he's back in his own way. Anime Game Lover says Yu-Gi-Oh is the second MVP. This is true. Oh, I like this one. We got a joke here. We had Who Killed the Red Soldiers? The Ice Age.
Oh, Batman and Robin reference. I like it.
Yay. Nice. And then, Alan says the frozen tundra in the anime field. I like it. Thank you, everybody. You've got great comments on it. But yeah, that was a nice, like, well, how do you stop so many people at one time? And it's like, hold on, we got some good powers here. And like, and everyone commenting like, oh my goodness, that was such a great execution of that. And it's like super level skill. And you're like, because it's our senpai, And Asuna is just so happy. Also, his hand is back, force field, and I did like that moment of like one, and then it kind of merges into it.
Yeah.
Like, though it was kind of one of those. It would have been interesting to watch how this dual wielder would fight with one hand, but it was nice to have both back. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh gets to stay with him as like a literal piece of him, which is cool.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. And he looks back all cool over his shoulder. Asuna is like, I am back. Poof. And then that's where
girl, I'm gonna go kill a dude.
Yes. He's like, I got this. Though, this would be like that thing where opening a jar and it's like the ladies are, I loosen it up for you. Because it's like, oh, Kirito has to fight the bad guy. Well, it's like, whoa. They did a lot of fighting before he got there.
Hang on.
Also feel like such a couple thing. It would be like, I broke him down a little bit for you, Kirito. Asuna was like, there's a giant hole in his chest. Yeah, that was me.
I was gonna say he lost a significant amount of body mass to Asuna.
And now he's just like, he's almost his last legs, and Kirito's like, all right, I got this. Yeah.
He literally went from fighting a heavyweight to like a middleweight.
Right? Yeah. And then we have, looking forward to next week. Dance is going to be one epic fight when Vassago and Kirito cross swords for sure. I'm definitely looking forward to next week, because it does end on this kind of cliffhanger. So for you, when you're recording these, as you're saying, some of the episodes are lining up. How's it when you get to the end where you're like, wait, is that where it ends? And do you have any sort of that, it's a cliffhanger, or you know what's coming, but how are the cliffhangers for you watching after you've recorded?
Yeah. Again, it's just when you're recording it. And also your sense of like timing is thrown off, because, there was one laugh in this episode that I remember we did like 3 or 4 takes on, and it's like a 30-second laugh, and it's just in the background during a fight scene. But that was like 10 minutes of my life, So you kind of get time gets weird when you rewatch the episodes. But yeah, most of the time with the cliffhangers, again, you don't really get much sense of that. What's weird is when you're recording a batch and then the batch ends on a cliffhanger, and you're like, oh, wait, what's going on? Then you've got to wait like 3-4 months to find out what happens next.
You're just like, curses. I like where to go. Yes. Oathkeeper makes a good point. Poe is only, he's down to 1 health bar. Asuna had taken 5 already. Yes, this is a good point. It's like the villain on a video game. It's like down. It's like just a little bit. I like it. Yes. And then Mike brings up the point that, yes, Blue Star is part of Yu-Gi-Oh's Flucklight after merging with him to fight Administrator. That is a good point, too. I think Yu-Gi-Oh's sword is so cool, and I'm excited to watch Kirito figure out how to dual wield with his own and Yu-Gi-Oh's. So obviously there's more epic stuff coming up with Vassago, but we can't get to that yet. Was there anything else from this episode that we didn't get to cover that you would like to comment on or add, or any fun experiences recording up to this point?
Man, it's so hard to remember. I mean, it is, just because, I mean, at least when you're going in to record, you remember like, hey, I remember what studio I was in that day. I remember, if the, what, all that kind of stuff. But when you're recording from home, they all blend together, man.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it's so hard to remember.
Well, also essentially too, if you already know what's coming, it's like wait, what can I remember up to this point? So it's like, wait, what? Yeah, it's like you're trying to turn. Nope, not that part.
Yeah, can't say that yet.
Oh, yay! Shout out. We got Alan Lee. Sup, Xander? Love you, buddy.
Hey, what's up, Alan?
Shout out to Alan coming on from preview episodes for Moonphase. Woo!
Yes, indeed.
All right, and then we got Oathkeeper says there's going to be a lot of puns next discussion. All right, I'm all for puns. Xander, how do you feel about puns?
How do I feel about puns?
I know some people are just like, oh, puns, whatever. I think they're hilarious and very entertaining.
No, I think puns, I think it depends on the quality of the pun.
True.
Oh, here, I got one for you. So recently, they went through the Disney archives and they found Yoda's last name. It's Lehihu. See, I think that's high quality humor right there.
Sure.
Why does the Norwegian military put barcodes on all their boats?
Why?
So they can Scandinavian.
That's a good one. Nice. Gazi points out you were incredible during this episode. How has it been? Because I mean, essentially, when you're recording, Vassago, essentially, all these episodes is just keep getting more and more and more out there, more intense, more crazy, whatever word you really want to put there. So when you're recording, how is that goalpost movement for you, or do you know already what your final whatever you're going to do is, and how do you get to that point? Tell me.
Yeah, I think with him, so going in, I don't know what's coming up, right? Like I find out, and the way most anime and video games are done, we really do. We don't find out like we don't get the scripts ahead of time or anything like that. And even once we have the script, most of the time, since we started working from home, it's been a little different. But most of the time, we don't get to like see ahead in the script and like plan out. We're seeing like our lines on that page, which is, that can make it difficult to like have a character arc in mind. But, the nice thing is that all this was previously done in Japanese. So the beats have kind of been determined, the beats that you have to play. But with, I don't think I go in thinking about like where to start and where to crescendo with the energy. I think you kind of feel those moments out during the performance. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why it is kind of nice not knowing ahead of time, because it allows for a lot of spontaneity. But yeah, I think it's just, I always recommend if people want to do this, like do theater and stuff ahead of time, because that's where you're going to learn how to do the character work, how to, build a backstory in your head if it's not handed to you, how to, justify and build that character over the course of rehearsal so that when you come to a performance, it's the full thing. In voiceover, you have to make those decisions in your head and make them very snap. So, how you figure that out in the moment, you read the words, you figure out, okay, what's going on in this character's head in this moment, what's he reacting off of, and that's how you build your energy. I don't think it's a clear linear line. Was that rambling? Did that make any sense?
No, that totally makes sense, because then I was wondering of like, if you are only getting, you know, only to that point, it would be, you know, that's how you would figure out what levels you're hitting based on what else is going on around your character and what they're able to achieve. Are they getting the goal they want for themselves? Are they meeting that goal or not? Because then what's it like of you find out like, okay, this episode you do this much, and then next week you get to find out you do this, and just like, okay, now I just got to get to go bigger, or because then it's almost like an infinity, right? Because then you don't know.
Yeah, I don't think scaling up is necessary. I don't even think that's necessarily what adds more stakes. Most of the stakes come from a personal place. So I think people, you know, can sometimes think of like, oh, it's big emotion because it's anime and you've got to be. But, you know, if you listen to the episode, you know, most of when he's talking, it's down in here. But the excitement's there and oh, man, I'm about to shit up. That sense doesn't necessarily come from big emotions so much as you know, how's he feeling in that moment? What's the personal grounding?
No, that definitely makes sense. We got Mike asks, which one is the baddest, Poe or Zaxa or Johnny Black? I don't know the answer to that question. I was gonna say to you.
I don't know the answer.
Do you have an answer? Okay.
I'm going to go with Poe.
Yeah, we'll go with Poe. Leave comments down below on your answer. There we go.
I think they pronounced it like Puh or something like that.
Well, I've heard it as Poe, and then, you know, Principal, so Poe. Oh.
Yeah, you would think it would be Poe, but I think we said Puh in the show.
You know, I've also seen it where different characters pronounce different characters' names differently on a show, which is so annoying. I like watching a show and there's like, you know, there's the one main character and everyone around them says their name a little bit differently. So you're like, well, what is their name?
See, I always like that because, you know, in real life, you always have that one person who says like tomato or something.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I interpret it. It's that one guy who's like, yeah, we're going to the movie theater.
The theater.
Yeah.
And get your pop, not your soda.
Oh. It sounds so gross to me. I don't know why. It just sounds,
pop.
I don't like pop. I like the word. I don't like it.
No, because then that's a person. It makes me think like your father, your pop. So like it sounds weird to be like pop as in the beverage, you know. It's a soda. So I mean it is soda pop, so they just pick the back end instead of the front end.
I guess in some parts of the country, it's all called Coke. Like, no matter what, you're like, I want a Coke.
That is really weird. Because then it's like, well, why? Because then you got to specify afterwards, you know, just like, okay. Because I think then people we'll add some clarifications from the chat. So thank you, everybody. So we got Poe. Well, Poe made World War III happen in that Underworld. This is true. He went beyond, I'm sorry if I'm saying their name wrong, Zaxa and Johnny. So cool.
I'm hoping it's Zaza.
I think these are other shows. And I'm sorry if I can't remember. And then Mike says XA. I'll just say that XA. No, killed 5 people and Johnny put Kazuto in a coma. Are these other shows?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm useless here.
No, it's fine. Well, that's a good question too. Side note on that. So when you're recording, you're clearly, you know, you're working, you're recording a show. Do you like to, or do you watch other anime shows? Because I think that would kind of based on your schedule, or if it would mix up, I don't know, whatever your memory is of what's going on with your own character in your own show.
Oh, so you're saying like when I'm
like when you're recording. Yeah, when you're recording a show, do you enjoy watching other anime, or are you just like, okay, I'm watching so much anime right now, I don't really, or I'm working in it, I don't necessarily want to watch it. Like, how is your stance on watching it while you're also recording?
It ebbs and flows, and thankfully I have enough interests where if I'm like, I have had far too much anime in my life recently, I can go do other stuff. But
too much anime? What are you talking about? No, I'm just kidding.
There are other things.
What? Yeah.
I think it really depends. There are shows I like that I'll definitely watch. I'm kind of weird though. Like I know some people watch like anything that they're in, any of that stuff, which makes sense. I mean, we're our own harshest critics, or they're really big fans of all of it. I tend to be a little bit more selective personally,
Sure.
which often makes going to cons and stuff when you're like you get these questions and it's like, yeah, I think a wizard did it. But yeah, no, I don't think it gets your wires crossed when you're people are good at compartmentalizing. I don't know. That'd be like if you were doing a play and while you were doing the play the entire time, it's like, don't read any books.
Like, no, don't do it.
I don't want to hear any Harry Potter lines coming out of your mouth when you're in this stage.
Oathkeeper says it's Zaza, is how I would say it.
Oh, I love that it's Zaza.
That's how I would read it.
That's the most adorable name for a villain. It's like, yeah, this is Zaza. He's cool.
I feel like they would have a very like fashionable wardrobe.
Yeah.
Very flashy.
Yeah.
Really good point here. Throwing back, Tiffany says Kirito ripping into his chest was more gruesome in the light novel. I can imagine it would be because they're just going to show this, and then I mean the show is brutal, but you can get even more descriptive in the book, and then your own brain interpreting that could be like so.
Yeah, for sure.
So going to put you on the spot, Xander. Of what's your favorite episode from Sword Art Online? Do you have a favorite episode? You're all this one, the end, when this happens. Yeah. All of them. Everyone that you're in.
Yeah, and all the ones I'm in. Those are my favorites. I'm bad with favorites. This is like a reoccurring thing. And I don't know how people pick favorites because I'm such a mood-based person.
It could depend on the day. Totally. Yeah. It's like favorite movies. It could be like, well, do you mean like favorite movies when I'm feeling great, when I'm feeling sad, when I want, whatever.
Yeah.
I get you. But then another question. Have you played any of the Sword Art Online games?
No, I have not.
Do you play much video games or are you a board game fan?
Play more. When you're working a lot, it's kind of hard just because it's like games are such a time investment. And, even when like, at least for me personally, if I like get done with work, I know a lot of people like unwind with video games.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like, do I have the energy to invest 3 hours into playing this thing?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to get back into playing things that are longer than a Mario Kart race. So I just
those are fun too.
I do. Yeah, I do like me some Mario Kart. I just started up Ni no Kuni, and I'm really enjoying that. It is a very charming game. But no, I have not played the Sword Art Online games.
I'm with you on the games are a big time investment. But then again, I'm that person who's like, oh, it's a 9-hour Netflix show. All right, we're going to watch that in one day. No problem. But one sitting too.
Right.
Xander, we had a question of, did you do a voice in Pokemon Journeys?
I do. I play, I think his name's Go. Yes, it's Go. Okay. I play Go's dad and I also am a stadium announcer who keeps popping up.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it's a good
I was going to say, you're a young man, but how do you like being cast as someone's dad?
I'm kind of used to it. I tend to play older than I am. It's so funny. I've talked to people where they're like, "Yeah, you sound 40."
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
but yeah, I don't mind. It's usually a dad or a big brother or something like that. So it's all fun stuff.
It is interesting how one's age can be assumed based on their voice too. So that because you can go either way. There's plenty of people that are older who sound super young. So yeah.
It's and I mean that's the nice thing about voiceover, isn't it? Is I can play stuff I would never be cast for on camera or in theater.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean that's the joy of it.
I know you're saying you hadn't played too much games, but Savage Sword says, have you played Persona 5?
Yes, I have.
I feel that's a hot game lately. The what?
I said I like that one.
Yes. Then we got another throwback. Oathkeeper pointing out Kirito still trying to crush his own heart is still messed up as he hasn't been thinking death since Sachi and believe he'll die to get that revival item. Yeah, it is interesting to have a character, and I mean, everybody processes trauma differently, but to have him be stuck on essentially a mistake or something that went wrong before and not be able to move on is just sad and unfortunate that you want this character to be like, it's not your fault. You were not literally responsible for this. We need you to move on. It's okay. But he asks that question. He says, am I able to get up? Am I able to go? And he does get up and go. So it's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I feel you could say it yourself, but John says, who's your favorite character from Sword Art Online?
I really like Fred. He's great. Yeah, Fred. Yeah, he's in the background of most scenes. You may not see him, but he's there.
Right? Okay.
I am very. Vassago is the only one I really know. Again, fair. Because I haven't seen the show, but I do really like him as a character. He's very rewarding to play. So
yeah,
it may sound narcissistic, but I'm gonna go with my guy.
But it's not. But is it really though? Because any voice actor has spent so much time with their character. Of course, they would have an attachment towards them, even if they're good guy, bad guy. So that kind of is a logical choice of, well, this one I know everything about them. I know their backstory. I know so much about them, and can be attached. So
it's also like you get emotionally attached also from just like what your experience was like recording the show. If I'm having a lot of fun doing the work, then of course I'm going to be like, yeah, I love that character. So yeah, and I did have a lot of fun with this. So yeah.
Yay, nice. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us live. If you're watching this later, no problem. Comment down below your thoughts on the episode, and no spoilers, because if we're just watching the dub, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but definitely looking forward to what is coming up as well as upcoming guests. And thank you so much to Xander for joining me. It was super fun talking about Vassago and just your experience on the show as well.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Yes. And here we get into, there we are. Where can people find you online? And if there's any projects or anything you want to promote, either, it could be older too or more recent.
Right. Well, as you can see down there, I'm at Xander Mobus VO on Twitter. That's the easiest place to find me. Projects I want to promote, check out Jujutsu Kaisen on Crunchyroll, because it's really fun and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and you should too, because I say exclusively like fish, and that's it.
That is a interesting pitch to get people to watch, but I like it.
Yep.
Actually, sorry, we got one more specific question. I'll throw it out here too. Mike asks, what do you think about Vassago's banter with Critter?
Oh, yeah. I enjoy that. That's his give me your lunch money dork coming out,
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yes, I like it. Awesome. Well, everybody go check out Xander there. Yep, right there. And check out for upcoming projects. And you can follow me over here at Carrie D. Lane on Twitter and Instagram. And over on my Instagram account in the IGTV, like when you click that part to go look through that, got a bunch of one-on-one interviews with voice actors, and similar in a way to this of going in depth. So it's super fun to go in depth in a show and a character. So thank you so much for watching. Tune in next week and we'll see what happens. All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2021.
Happy 2021.
All right. Take care, everyone. And we'll see you next time.